morning and welcome once again to Meet the Church, our weekly feature where we meet another member of Dale Street Evangelical Church. And this morning, answering the 10 questions is somebody I know particularly well, but not everyone at church may know this person as well as I do. So, 10 questions to find a little bit more about Beth Hall. Over to you, Miss Hall.
So I was born the 8th of October 1996 in Pinfield Hospital in Wakefield. We lived there till I was about 8 or 9, and then we moved over to Royston, Barnsley. I'm an only child, so it's just me, mum and dad. So they had me just after they got married, so they were quite young when they had me, so we've always been quite close, and we always used to go on nice holidays. But being a youngster was just spending time with mum and dad. I hated leaving them. I always used to get really upset. So we've always been really close, but yeah. My earliest memories of church probably sitting on the front row with my cousins, getting up front, singing all the songs, and especially going to Little Gems with my grandma and my Auntie Jo. Wasn't as many of us back then. There was only a few of us, so we only had one group, but I used to love those, doing all the arts and crafts and maybe get a cheeky sweet as well. But yeah, that was probably my early memories of church and playing around upstairs. I loved coming to church when I was younger, and some really good memories. Obviously I've come from right being born, so it's always been a big part of my life. At the age of 10, I wanted to be a vet, I think. I had the blue outfit and the stethoscope, and as well, I remember being quite obsessed that I wanted to be in the FBI. My dad once gave me this like silver briefcase thing, and I used to like wet paper and let it go dry and pretend it was like evidence, and I'd have all my little notebooks, and I turned my old passports into a little FBI pass. Neither of those worked out, but that was what I wanted to be when I was 10. I had big ambitions back then. As a teenager, I think for the first period, maybe to be like 13 to 15, I would say I was alright. I was pretty easy teenager. Got on with school, quite liked it. Had the occasional drama at school, but apart from that, I hope I was pretty easy. From about 16 to 19, I caused my parents some big challenges. I wasn't the easiest, and I will admit that. I think it's one of them stages where I was sort of going into adult life slowly, and that age you start to get a bit more freedom, and I think I always knew what was best. Obviously didn't now I look back, but yeah. Easy for the first bit, got a little bit more difficult as time went on, and I thought I knew everything. So seeing as I didn't become a vet or an FBI agent, I now work in digital marketing. So I work in social media, Google advertising, Facebook advertising. So basically I got my degree at Huddersfield University, which was in graphic design, and straight out of uni I got a job working over in Manchester, which was as a junior graphic designer. I loved it. For the first 6 months all I did was graphic design, but they were quite a small agency, and they had the capacity to sort of teach me a lot of different things, and I'd always quite taken an interest into like marketing and stuff. It always interested me, and I always made all my graphics projects around marketing. So they said, do you want to learn some stuff? So I was all up for it. Worked there for 18 months, and then last August I managed to get a job over in Barnsley, so 50 miles closer to home, working in digital marketing, and it's so much fun. I love it. I'm not particularly doing much graphic design anymore. I do a little bit of photography for them, but yeah, I love it. It's good fun. Every day is different, and a long way to go with it. So yeah, it's good fun. So the best place I've ever been, I would say, is New York. I went with college, So I went with a group of friends and there was some teachers and stuff. They gave us quite a lot of freedom and it was amazing. Absolutely loved it. It was the first time I've been away on my own. It was the most amazing experience. It was freezing, went in January, but it was so good and I would love to go back. If I could go anywhere, it's a difficult one. I think I'd love to do some more city breaks, so do some more like New York, do some other parts of America. I'd love to go and do city breaks in Europe. Would love to go back to the Maldives. I'd love to go to like South Africa. I'd just like to see the whole world, to be honest. I don't think I've got a favourite of where I'd like to go. There's just a lot of places. I've got a nice big list of that I'd like to work my way through eventually. If I could have one meal for the rest of my life, for starter, I think it'd be a nice big camembert with some good chunky bread. For main, I love a roast dinner. Big Yorkshire pudding, roast potatoes, loads of gravy. I'm a good with my roast dinners. And for dessert would definitely be jam Napoleon custard. But it's got to be strawberry jam Napoleon custard. I don't like raspberry, just strawberry. So I came to know Jesus as my saviour when I was 8 years old. I remember the day quite clearly. My uncle Dan had come to speak on this Sunday, and we'd all been asked to stay in the meeting, the kids. We didn't go out to Little Gems that Sunday. And I may be wrong, but in my memory this is what I remember, him talking about a mountain, and at the top of this mountain was God, and if you were a Christian you went up the mountain and you went to heaven with God, and if you didn't you got sent back down and you were left behind. And I remember being so scared. I remember thinking, all my family are Christians, my aunts, my uncles, my mum and dad, my grandparents, and I'm not, but I know that I should be. And I know I'd been thinking about it for a while, and I knew what I needed to do, and I got so emotional, and I went and spoke to my dad at the back, and he was like, so upset as well, obviously, because we are the emotional pair, and that's when I followed Jesus into my heart. My faith has helped me immensely outside of church, especially when I was about 17, 18, I got myself into a relationship that I shouldn't really been in. I knew it was wrong, and I sort of put God to the side and stopped putting God as number one, until I realised that I was never going to get where I wanted to get, or never do the things that I wanted to do if I didn't make God number one, because he had a plan for me, but that wasn't going to work if I was living the life that I was living. And I opened up to some close family, and they really supported me and they prayed with me, and they showed me that what I was doing was not right, and God's plan was the best plan, and I needed to put his love first and let him lead the way. And it was quite an eye-opening experience for me. It was a challenging experience. It sort of changed my faith quite a bit. I think I always took my faith for granted until then, and when I realised that, you know, we are so blessed to be here, and we wouldn't be here without God's love, and I wouldn't be here if I had not realised what I was doing, and that God needs my number one no matter what. And I think ever since then he always has been, in every decision that I make, in every life choice that I do. I always try and put him first, and my faith has always been there for that, knowing that he's always there to support us and love us, and he's never going to let us down. As much as I thought he was, he's never ever going to let us down. My go-to favourite verse would be Joshua chapter 1 verse 9, which is, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous, do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." And that verse was given to me in a card when I got saved. And I've still got the card in my Bible, and it's been one of those verses that has really supported me through everything that I've been through. I get quite fearful, quite anxious of things, so it's a good one to remember that God has a plan for us, and he's never going to leave us, and he's always there, and that we're never alone.